The belonging you seek is not behind you, it is ahead. And with this quote, we start 2025, looking ahead, always ahead. It is a brand new year and a brand new journal. Its pages might look blank, but they are filled with expectations. I can't tell you how excited I am to start using this notebook from bulletjournal.com. I will link below my video review on it if you want to check it out. Things will change this year for my monthly setups. If you don't already know, I have moved my wellness trackers into a journal of their own. So my bullet journal will exclusively be dedicated to my job, projects, admin life, and memories. As usual, I will start each month with a cover and a quote because I just love doing that. It is tradition around here to feature my adventurous astronaut Moony on my January setup, so my theme this month will be space themed. I have a cool project in mind for this year. All of my covers will feature houses or buildings, each one of them inspired on a decade and going backwards. So January will be about the 2010s, February about the 2000s, and so on until we reach the 1900s in December. This idea came up to me as I was trying to think of my cover. I knew I wanted to draw Moony's house in outer space, and as I was looking up modern houses for inspiration, I just thought it was such a current topic. What with man wanting to go live on Mars? Technology has taken us a long way, so much so that no one in the early 1900s could have even dreamed that it was possible to travel beyond the sky. So I think it will be really fun to have a timeline in my journal of a bit more than a century, which will make me travel back in time and learn a lot about history in the process. As for the technique, I bought a package of Sepia fine liners from Copic, and I just love how they feel and look. They're the perfect shade to reminisce in the past, and they come in all the widths that I need to put my layouts together. I'm also using watercolors because they go really well with the ink. Together, they give me the vintage vibe that I'm looking for. Actually, watercolors and inks are my all-time favorite techniques. As I am finishing the cover, let me know if you recognize my month's quote. It's from a movie that was widely expected in 2019 and it is set in outer space, so it was a perfect fit. Moving on to my monthly log and panel, something that I love about this notebook is the stickers that it comes with. They're perfect to quickly set your log up, and just like the notebook's cover, they're holographic, so they're really fun to use and look at. They are the reason why I am also going back to a one-column log, because I had been dividing it in two for the past couple of years, but either format works fine. According to the original bullet journal method, since you build your journal one day at a time, the future and monthly logs are the place to migrate or reschedule tasks. The monthly log also serves as a timeline that you feel as events happen. I personally use it a lot for scheduling events instead of using the future log. I used to have my social media panel next to my monthly log, but I moved it to the future log, and instead I'm adding a control panel. I've been using this for the past months and I'm really loving how helpful it is. This is where I set an overview of the things I want to get done this month as well as my schedule. This year I will try a planning system that will be divided in 4 quarters of 13 weeks each. I will talk more about this once I've tried it and gotten the hang of it. But for now, I'm assigning a main task to each week to have that in mind. Then of course, I'm adding space for my mental inventory where I brainstorm the main things I need to do to perform my weekly tasks. I then choose 3 priorities from my mental inventory, which will be my focus as the weeks start advancing. I have a little fish tank log to remind myself of changing the water weekly, and my monthly schedule, which has been basic to time block all of my activities. Remember that these ideas have been working for me, but this does not mean that you have to add all of this in your journal. If something inspires you, try it for a month and see how it works. You can always add or discard according to your needs. Honestly, when I started journaling, I thought that what was trending in others' journals had to work for me too, but that could not be more far from the truth. Journaling is a trial and error process, and there's no way around it. It has to be that way. Not only because it's a journey of discovery, but mainly because change is part of our lives. What works one week for you might not work the next. Evolving is unavoidable, and it is what helps you learn and know yourself so that you can adapt, even if temporarily, what works for you, and discard the things that just rob you of your time or the joy of journaling. I always mention in my videos that if you're just starting to look into bullet journaling, the best thing you can do is go to the original source. The creator of the method, Ryder Carroll, is doing a great job at helping people approach his method in its purest form, without all the bells and whistles that those of us who are creative need to add. It's sad to think that many don't give the method a chance because they think they need to know how to draw or to have the time to embellish all their pages. But that's not what the method is about. It's about intentional living that helps you organize your life with productivity at its core. Each of us is different. In my case, I need to be creative in my journal to be myself. So while I appreciate the fact that you watch my creative process, I will never get tired of highlighting the fact that you must approach the method on its own. You can add decorations later, if that's what you want or have the time to do. I not only enjoy drawing, but I make a living out of designing, so it is part of who I am. Therefore, I will continue to share this part of myself that has been filling my journaling pages since I started, and it has been sort of key in finding extra motivation to be consistent and staying inspired. In these next pages, I will be using a simpler technique where I just line the drawing and add a double line with the neon mildliners. I first did this back in 2020 during the lockdown period, and I really like the worry-free style that it evokes. So I try to repeat this look at least once a year. I drew Moony surrounded by books here because that's one of the activities that I want to do more of. So let me know if you have any book recommendations to add them to my list. I am now done with my control panel and I am moving on to a spread that is going to make a comeback. Back in 2020, I tried a monthly doodle challenge and loved it. So in 2021, I doodled for a year inspired by my monthly themes. I want to do it again, and this year, the doodles will be inspired by the highlights of the decade that I will be featuring each month. This will definitely be a fun way to learn, but also to continue practicing my skills and training my hand. Any suggestions for those doodles is more than welcome. Remember that January will cover the 2010s, so feel free to tell me any highlight that you love from that decade and that can be represented in a little doodle. It can be a positive historic event, a great movie, a breakthrough discovery or invention. I'm sure I would need more space to cover it all, but at least I can get 31 highlights in. And last but not least, I am setting up my first weekly. This layout is also relatively new because I have been trying and loving it for the past couple of months. Each week will be featured in 4 pages. The days will be set on the first and the last with extra margins for notes or memories. And in the middle, I will have a sort of Dutch door with a cute design and 6 sections that will cover 6 areas of my life and the activities that I need or want to get done on that week. Those areas will be work, admin, learning, reading, social, and art. And speaking of art, as I mentioned in my 2025 setup, I am challenging myself to make art every single day of this year. So that is why I am drawing Moony here with an art project of our own, which is kind of satirical. This year, a conceptual artwork by a comedian featured a fruit stand banana taped to a wall, and it was sold for $6.2 million at an auction, immediately generating a lot of debate online. Opinions vary, but I wanted to feature that little artwork here as reverse psychology and motivation to really invest time in creating art instead of finding an easy way out. I believe art must be the result of thought and of allowing your hand to express what is in your heart. That's how you find a style. And I want to avoid shortcuts and deep dive into the process of creating things that add value to my life and enrich my creativity. I am almost done here, but I wanted to give you some examples of the things that I will be adding into this weekly layout. For the area of work, it is pretty self-explanatory. Admin is all that has to do with administrating the basic areas of your life that you need to get done. Things like finances, taxes, shopping, car maintenance, insurance, bank transactions, and so on. On the Learn section, I will be keeping track of the online courses that I am taking. I have a long list of pending courses, so this will be my weekly reminder to do them. For reading, like I said, I want to do that more. So here, I will keep track of my progress or write down any book recommendations. And actually, I'm starting a reading journal, so let me know if you would like to see how I set that up. Social is also self-explanatory, but I want to include doing things for others, like cards or baking. Making of this a weekly project will definitely make up for a more satisfying life. And finally, art. In this section, I will write prompts or sources that inspire me, as well as any new materials that I like to try. And that's it. Here's the final flip-through of my remodeled monthly setup. I was impressed and relieved to see how much less time I invested on it, having moved my health trackers into another journal. I love the simplicity and how straightforward everything looks. Plus, having Moony back every year is always a treat. Let me know what you think of the theme, the project that I have to feature one decade each month, or the new layouts. I've been loving all the comments, including those of new subscribers. I will be uploading videos in English on Wednesdays and in Spanish on Sundays. I truly appreciate all the support, and so as usual, thank you so much for watching.